Hello and welcome to Rock, Paper, Shotgun. This is... Oh my god, that's so violent. Oh, sorry about that. Blame my poor herb management. You're watching Rock, Paper, Shotgun, but in honour of Resident Evil 2, we're tempted to rebrand as Shotgun. I mean, just look at this messy beauty. It takes off heads and arms in such horrible detail that I wouldn't be surprised if this video got demonetised for being advertiser unfriendly. But who cares about paying for your channel's overheads when you could be making sure zombies have no heads? This is kinda the appeal of the Resident Evil 2 remake in a nutshell. It takes all the stuff you knew and loved about the 1998 classic and drags it kicking and screaming, emphasis on screaming, into the 21st century, with all the detail and polish that 21st century RE engine allows. But at the same time, it's still a game where your final inventory is full of magnum bullets and herb blends because you are too scared to use them. Some things never change. The idea of this is fascinating to me. Can you convert a static 2D world into a 3D action gauntlet and not lose the spirit of the original? Will those iconic scenes and set pieces still work? Could they even be bettered? In this video, I'll be looking at a few ways Resident Evil 2 is my dream remake, and a couple of ways it isn't. If you're enjoying this video as you go along, why not give it a thumbs up and subscribe? Because hats off to people who do subscribe, and giant face punches to those that don't. Let's get on with this. No. 20 years after its original appearance, we are back in Raccoon City, and once again everything has gone to hell. The streets are swarming with hungry zombies, and inside the local police station, the boys in blue won't protect and serve, unless they're serving your brains for dinner. Worst of all, this guy's crisps are stuck in the vending machine. Truly, this is the darkest timeline. I've wanted a 3D remake of Resident Evil 2 ever since Resident Evil 5's Lost in Nightmares DLC. That was set in a spooky old house with more than a passing resemblance to Resi 1's Spencer Mansion, and it showed how well an over-the-shoulder camera could embed you in a more claustrophobic setting. That's the biggest leap here, that sense of really being in these iconic locations, rather than observing them one step removed from fixed camera angles, which kind of always felt to me like playing a game through CCTV cameras. The obvious benefit is seeing all that close-up detail, which delivers a constant rush of nostalgia if you've played the original. Look, it's the cute welcome party for Leon Kennedy on his first day of the job. Hey, it's the not at all ominous morgue filled with dead bodies. Oh, it's the raddest jacket I've ever seen. Exploring this place is like visiting the set of your favourite TV show and just poking around at your own pace. As a piece of fan service, it's unrivaled. But it expands in some neat ways too. The directors have said in interviews that they wanted it to feel like a more logical place, meaning a few extra rooms and corridors to link it all up. It's a testament to the caretaking that I had to replay the original to see which bits had changed. It feels like the police station it should have been all along, well apart from the toilets, where an overflowing bowl hints at horrors beyond anything you'll see in the game. I bet it was Barry Burton. If Raccoon City has had the builders in, then Capcom also take their sledgehammers to the campaign. As in the original, you choose between Leon Kennedy, a rookie cop with wonderfully floppy hair, and Claire Redfield, who's looking for her brother Chris and wears a jacket that handily disguises all the blood. And once you finish their A campaign, you flip and play it from the perspective of the other character. These B campaigns remix it with tweaked puzzles, new weapons, and the true ending of the game. But in the remake, the A campaigns, that's the stories you'll play through first, feel like Capcom mashed together the key events of the original game's A and B campaigns. I'll avoid spoiler territory, but it boils down to a couple of extra boss fights and the appearance of the Tyrant in the main story. The Tyrant is an unstoppable tank who hunts our heroes through the police station and beyond. He's also an important reminder to never trust a dude in a fedora. In many ways, I love the change. It gives clearer structure to the A campaign, with regular bosses and a more spectacular ending, especially for Leon's story. And the Tyrant is a different flavour of action to what you get elsewhere in the game. Having him turn up challenges you to prove your map mastery in a way that you never really had to in 1998's A campaigns. For the first time player, you're getting the best of Resident Evil 2 from the outset. But if it makes your first playthrough that bit more exciting, it also becomes one of the game's few missteps as you replay the campaign. Cramming everything the game has to show into a single story means fewer surprises and much more repetition when you play the other 3 variations. The original game repeated plenty of puzzles across its 4 stories, but here you're having to do them 4 times to see everything the game has to offer. For the most part, that's not a deal breaker. The game is built for speed running, and working out how to shave off time with the right route does extend the fun beyond the end credits. But the 4th time the Tyrant chases you around the police station, the routine begins to get stale. I knew the exact route to take and could unlock all the safes and lockers without finding their codes. It's embedded in your head from doing it over and over again. Worst of all, the Tyrant stops being scary and just becomes a creepy dude you can run circles around. Cue music that is legally distinctive to the Benny Hill theme tune. It's also a shame that the game loses the original zapping system, which saw decisions in one timeline directly reflected in the other. If Leon picked up a certain item in A, for example, it wouldn't be there when Claire turned up in B. There was huge potential to evolve the system in the remake. The new ability to board up windows could change the flow of zombie arrivals for the second character, for example, but nothing like that is done. I love the idea of lending extra consequences to your action, especially when decision making is done in a moment of stress, so it's disappointing to see the whole zapping system thrown in the bin. It could have been a proper evolution, rather than a very polished reworking of action we've seen before. Maybe it's an idea for when they remake it in another 20 years, perhaps. In other areas, Resident Evil 2 makes great strides, using modern memory to create a more permanent world. The lifeblood of the city, or dead blood perhaps, are the zombies, who are transformed from the mild nuisance of the original game to a more persistent threat. The designers really lean into the reanimated corpse thing. Unless you take the head clean off, they can just spring back up again. It means you can't easily clear out areas like you could in 1998, and it turns the simple task of getting from A to B into constant crowd control. Do you risk bullets on headshots hoping to take a zombie permanently out of action? We've seen a skull absorb as many as 10 shots, and still the body gets back to its feet minutes later. Much better is the new limb destruction that takes off arms and legs. You can stumble enemies and make them easier to avoid in future. But this could be creating hard work for later on. Crawling zombies could become a trap, chewing on your ankles like a drunk student gnawing on a kebab. On a crude surface level, it all makes for much more entertaining fights, as panic shots leave arms hanging from a tendril of flesh. Or maybe you get grabbed and shove a grenade into a zombie gob and then paint the roof with their scalp. Bonus points if you shoot the explosive first. And when the fights are over, the area still throbs with the menace that they might get back up again. The rules on this seem deliberately vague, which I'd argue is a good thing in a horror game. You want to expect the unexpected. But zombie damage does go deeper than shock and gore. It helps with one of the game's limitations, that there isn't much of it. Resident Evil 2 plays out in a police station, a sewer and a lab, with the meat of it in the police station that gradually opens up as you approach it from different angles. By making zombies persistent and persistently hard to keep down, it escalates the intensity of an otherwise repetitive level. As repeat visits add new threats, your past actions carry even more weight. That corridor you can comfortably avoid the zombies in? Well, see what happens when a licker turns up and can hear anything louder than a walk. Trying to creep past these lung-tongued freaks while not alerting zombies, or even worse, the Tyrant, is a wonderful touch. While we're on the subject of the game's size, I should also point out that the reports of a 10-hour campaign are exaggerated. My first playtime was under 6, and it only got shorter after that. As mentioned before, that's largely down to learning item locations and save codes. In this regard, the game is quite true to the original. Question is whether you will get your £45 worth, or whatever it is in greenbacks. If you're the kind of person who enjoys speedrunning or achievement hunting, there's plenty to keep you going here. The 4 campaigns to master, bonus unlockable modes to play, not locked behind a greedy DLC pass as in Resident Evil 7, and various art galleries to open, because it wouldn't be a true child of late 90s gaming without all that bullshit. I'm not good enough for most of these challenges. There's no chance in hell I'm getting through the game without using an item box or saving. But the gauntlet has been thrown down. I'm currently playing the game on the hardest difficulty mode, however, as it forces you to collect ink ribbons to save the game, which adds a tension that's missing when you have endless saves. As the saying goes, give this dumb monkey infinite typewriter saves, and he'll eventually finish Resident Evil 2. I think that's the saying anyway. As much as Capcom keep the essence of the original intact, they've added to parts that felt a little weaker or unresolved the first time round. Again, it's tricky to talk changes without spoiling things, but a few characters are better explored. Marvin Branagh gets more of a role this time, which is nice as in the original he was played by some kind of alien who'd only ever had a human voice described to him.
What happened?
About 2 months ago, there was this incident involving these zombie-like creatures.
The biggest beneficiaries of Capcom's tweaking are the supporting playable characters, Ada in Leon's Tale and Sherry in Claire's. Both popped up in the original for some basic puzzling. While their new material isn't substantial, both get a set piece that develops character and changes up the pace. Sherry's is a stealth task I won't spoil here, and Ada has a weird X-ray gun that lets her blast electronics. If Leon had any sense, he'd steal it and use it to unlock all those damn weapon lockers. I'm sad that Ada doesn't join you as an AI helper for more of the game. I'm a big fan of letting her do all the shooting in the original, but her interlude serves as another change of pace in a campaign that shifts gear every 20 minutes or so. Speaking of Ada's sewer exploits, I'm also sad to see the giant spiders vanish from these sludge-filled pipes. They weren't brilliant designs or anything, they're spiders, but big. But I loved seeing them scuttle about on the camera lens. Of course, much of the fun of Resident Evil 2 Remake is seeing what did or didn't make the cut, and here your mileage may vary. Personally, I think the sewer and labs in the latter parts of the game are much improved. They're a bigger departure from the original than the police station, and make much better use of enemies that call them home. But again, I'll leave you to discover that.
This is out of control.
The one area where Capcom have stumbled on the remake is the handling of the outdoors. The opening struggle through the streets of Raccoon City is one of the most iconic scenes in video game history. After the slow build of Resi 1, here was a game that dropped you in the thick of it. Enemies everywhere, hardly any bullets to take them down. It was thrilling. The version in 2019 is sadly anything but. The opening is now shortened into a very quick dash down a car-filled street. If you are able to navigate the common Tesco's car park, you'll be able to survive this street. If anything, it's easier than Tesco's, as you aren't carrying 8 bottles of Pepsi Max Cherry at the same time. No, you're the one with the Pepsi Max problem. Due to Capcom moving some parts of the story around, you don't get to properly explore the streets until later in Claire's story, and I was shocked at how ropey they looked. I get the team is trying to give the world correct proportions, but including a full basketball court with nothing interesting to find or fight is one of the more baffling decisions in the game. I mean, this doesn't look like any city on Earth, let alone the iconic streets we escaped through 20 years ago. It's a really strange and terrible artistic decision in a game that is otherwise so careful to keep the spirit of the original intact. It makes me wonder if it was such a bad thing that everyone turned into a zombie. I mean, at least they didn't have to look at this grim place. I don't want to end this on too much of a down note. The game is such a loving treatment of the source material that the odd stumbles just stand out a little bit more. There's so much craft here to celebrate. Like if you blast off a zombie's head when it's running, the body just keeps coming at you, forcing you to hug its bleeding stump. Or the neat little revolver Claire gets on her second playthrough, complete with a gunslinger slouch as she unloads quick shots like a less grizzled Clint Eastwood. Or the delightful spark shot, which fills enemies with so much electricity that they basically pop, easily the most vindictive taser since the mighty siphon filter. Or the way that in-game documents poke fun at some of the more ridiculous habits, like why the sewer system is controlled with chess pieces. You see, for all the ways it makes Resident Evil 2 more sophisticated, the remake never forgets what is most important. That this is a very silly game, and I really wouldn't have that any other way. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Resident Evil 2. It was quite hard to make without spoiling some of the new stuff. I know people are rightly sensitive about that. If there's anything in the review you'd like me to explain in more detail, or any questions you have, just pop them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun. We cover everything from this head-exploding mess to the weird and wonderful indie games that turn up in our inbox. Hopefully we'll see you around these parts soon. Bye for now.